Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of sources, extract the most important insights, and give you that shortcut to being truly well-informed.
Yeah.
Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating deep dive into a legend whose immense talent has, well, for far too long, been overshadowed by her public image. Marilyn Monroe.
Exactly. And we'll be grappling with, the provocative question of whether Marilyn Monroe possessed genuine acting chops, going well beyond that familiar blonde bombshell idea.
Right.
Our sources today, from keen film critic perspectives to essential historical context, they paint a really vivid picture of a remarkably skilled actress. Yeah. Someone who consistently defied expectations, tackled genuinely challenging roles, and honestly displayed surprising range and depth.
Okay, so our mission today is to peel back those layers, uncover the hidden facets of her craft, maybe highlight some critical turning points in her career, and re-examine some of her most controversial, significant roles. Get ready for some genuine aha moments, because I think we're about to challenge some deeply ingrained beliefs about Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
You might just see her in a whole new light.
Let's do it.
All right, so when most of us think of Marilyn Monroe, especially from the early 1950s, it's often that iconic blonde bombshell image, right? Like from films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes in '53 or How to Marry a Millionaire, same year.
Yeah, exactly. And critics back then, they frequently dismissed her, focusing almost exclusively on her looks.
Which is just, yeah.
And that's precisely where the common misconception lies, I think. Many assume she was simply being herself on screen, just naturally like that.
Right.
But our sources reveal the exact opposite. She meticulously crafted that dumb blonde persona with incredible skill and a subtle, often satirical edge. Film critic Jonathan Rosenbaum, he astutely noted that Monroe would find a way to subtly subvert these stereotypes, imbuing seemingly ditzy characters with this knowing, ironic wit.
That's where it really gets interesting for me, because her comedic talent was, it was absolutely undeniable.
Oh, for sure.
Take Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. She plays Lorelei Lee not as clueless, but as this clearly clever gold digger who's just pretending to be clueless.
Exactly. It's all performance.
One critic even called it her best and most delightful performance, highlighting how the gravitational pull of her charisma is most evident when she's in motion, singing, dancing, just lighting up the screen. And Truman Capote observed that her unique cinematic presence was so fragile and subtle, it can only be caught by the camera, something that could never surface on the stage. So what does this tell us about her comedic approach?
Well, it makes it pretty clear that Monroe's comic persona was a brilliant, deliberate act. Even in roles that, on paper might seem kind of one note, she added layers.
Like the 7-Year Itch?
Exactly. Billy Wilder's The 7-Year Itch from '55, where she's just listed as the girl, an empty fantasy on paper, right?
Yeah.
But Monroe made her charming and sweet and more interesting than she was written to be, and she was totally in on the joke, even satirizing her own sex symbol image.
Didn't she make a joke about that?
She did. She once quipped she played dumb blondes well because she had a lot of practice at it, which is such an ironic remark, given how intelligent she was, well-read, and her serious dedication to studying acting at the Actors Studio. She knew what she was doing.
Okay, so moving into the late 1950s, Monroe arguably hit her comedic peak with some Like It Hot in 1959. A classic farce. Hill is one of the greatest comedies ever.
Oh, absolutely.
And she played Sugar Cane. It was apparently as subversive as comedy got in its day, and her performances, well, it's just a masterclass in nuance.
Totally agree. In some Like It Hot, she skillfully balanced Sugar's, obvious sensuality with this very real nervous vulnerability and a melancholic undertow.
Right, that undertow.
Yeah, it created a character who felt remarkably real, even amidst all the slapstick and the wild premise. Angelica Jade Bastian of Vulture captured it perfectly, observing her entrancing charisma, that blend of sensuality and beguiling physicality that so many imitators miss. They overlook these other attributes that made Monroe feel startlingly real.
And she won a Golden Globe for it, right? Best Actress.
She did indeed. Well deserved.
This film also really highlights her willingness to tackle controversial material head on. Some, like, it hot pushed the production code boundaries hard.
Oh, yeah. The cross-dressing, the innuendo.
It was released without a code certificate, which was a big deal then. And it was famously banned in Kansas for being too disturbing, partly because of her revealing nude dress.
That dress caused quite a stir.
The Catholic Legion of Decency condemned its gross suggestiveness, yet audiences just absolutely adored it. So far from damaging her career, this risque role actually cemented her status as a comedic star, taking real artistic risks.
And if we look at the bigger picture, her, sultry musical performance of I Want to Be Loved by You prompted Roger Ebert to call it a striptease in which nudity would have been superfluous, demonstrating that no other actor, male or female, has more sexual chemistry with the camera than Monroe. Her comic genius, I think, truly lay in melding that magnetic screen persona with these authentic, nuanced acting choices. She could wink at the audience while staying completely true to her character. It's brilliant.
And her physical comedy. And those facial expressions were just as vital.
Absolutely.
In The Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, number from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, think about those sly glances, the perfect comedic beats she uses to sell the satire of Lorelei Lee as a gold digger.
She nails it.
As Vulture put it, while her legend may not reckon with her skill, all you have to do is fire up this film to witness what it means to be truly starstruck. She definitely had that elusive it factor, but crucially, as they say, she knew how to use it to serve the performance.
That's the key distinction.
And the film's enduring success, it just sparkles with Monroe's energy, strongly arguing her acting was absolutely integral to her lasting legend, not just the image.
Couldn't agree more.
But, despite these comedic triumphs, Monroe increasingly grew frustrated. She was being perpetually typecast as this one-dimensional sex symbol.
Understandably.
And by the mid-1950s, she was desperately seeking out serious dramatic roles. This frustration, it seems, marked a truly critical turning point where she took bold control of her career path.
It's truly remarkable how audacious her next move was. I mean, in late 1954, at the absolute height of her fame, she just walked out on her contract with 20th Century Fox.
Just walked out.
Yep. Flat out refused more fluff musicals. Everyone in Hollywood thought it was career suicide.
Wow. Gutsy.
Totally. But instead, she moves to New York, founds Marilyn Monroe Productions, her own company, and starts intensely studying method acting under Lee Strasberg at the legendary Actors Studio.
The Actors Studio, yeah.
This immense dedication, as one biographer highlighted, showed she rigorously applied both skillful technique and an inherent charisma. She even brought her coach, Paula Strasberg, Lee's wife, onto sets for her later films. Marilyn was absolutely serious about being taken seriously.
Okay, let's consider a real hidden gem then. Don't bother to knock. From 1952, so this was before her formal actor studio training, right?
That's right, early days.
In this low-budget thriller, Monroe plays Nell, a disturbed babysitter who's kind of spiraling into a mental breakdown. It was such a bold, unexpected departure for her at the time.
Definitely not the bombshell role.
Not at all. She even wore a, dowdy thrift store dress for authenticity. And her portrayal is both chilling and somehow deeply sympathetic. Though it was largely overlooked back then, Monroe herself considered it a very strong performance. And her co-star, Anne Bancroft, recalled Monroe fighting the director to play a scene her own way. Bancroft said, "The talent inside that girl was unquestionable. She did it her way, and it actually floored me emotionally."
Wow, from Anne Bancroft, that's high praise. And watching Don't Bother to Knock today, putting it in context, it's absolutely revelatory. Monroe delivers this stunning, riveting performance as a damaged woman, showing that method-like emotional truth years before she formally trained.
And it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes now.
It does. Reviewers note it might throw you for a loop if you're expecting, the bubbly starlet. It really suggests an alternate, maybe darker path her career could have taken if she'd gotten more chances like that earlier.
Interesting. Okay, another early dramatic role was in Niagara from 1953, a Technicolor film noir.
Right. Fox deliberately cast her as a femme fatale in that one. They were trying to position her as a serious leading lady.
And the movie definitely amplified her sex appeal.
Yeah.
That famous screen entrance focusing on her hips. Apparently the longest continuous walk shot in cinema history at the time.
That's the one. Very deliberate. So the question becomes, how did she balance that heightened sex appeal with, genuine acting?
Good question.
Well, Monroe fully embraced the sultry Rose Loomis, but she infused her with this palpable vulnerability, the streak that made her way more than just a one-note villain.
Okay.
And Niagara was pretty racy for its time. Those revealing costumes caused something of a stir, like you said. It even got the film banned by some churches for being too sexually provocative.
So it was controversial, too.
Oh, yeah. But it undeniably proved Monroe could carry a heavy, suspenseful picture. Yet the pattern persisted. Critics still focused more on her curves than her, frankly, compelling acting.
Always back to the looks.
That's choosing.
But then, here's where the narrative truly shifts for Marilyn Monroe. Her undeniable breakthrough as a serious actress came with Bus Stop in 1956.
Bus Stop, yes. Crucial film.
This was her very first film after renegotiating her contract on her terms, and she personally handpicked this Broadway adaptation specifically to showcase her dramatic range.
And what a showcase. In Bus Stop, she plays Cherie, this third-rate saloon singer abducted by a naive cowboy. And gone was the glitzy Marilyn we knew.
Totally different look.
Completely. Yeah. She deliberately downplayed the glamour, donned a grungy blonde wig with dark roots, tired costumes, pale, almost sickly makeup to convey Cherie's hard life. The transformation was startling. She just disappears into the role of this lonely chanteuse, complete with a really poignant Ozark accent and this captivating mix of fragility and grit. As one writer noted, she is a somewhat tortured character, a million miles from her previous bubbly roles.
And all that hard work, it really paid off. Critics finally sat up and took serious notice.
Finally.
The New York Times famously declared that Marilyn Monroe has finally proved herself an actress. Bosley Crowther, who was a notoriously tough critic, was especially impressed by her startlingly effective performance, noting Cherie was imbued with genuine pathos and emotional honesty.
That must have felt incredible for her.
Oh, I bet. This wasn't just a win. It was this resounding validation, a moment she firmly planted her flag as a serious, dramatic actress, not just a star. And she got a Golden Globe nomination for it, too.
Mm-hmm. Best Actress, Comedy, or Musical, ironically, given the drama.
Yeah.
But what becomes clear here is what truly made Bus Stop different for her. Under Joshua Logan's sensitive direction, Monroe fearlessly explored vulnerability. Exactly. Delivering that heartbreaking monologue about Cherie's sad upbringing. She drew directly on her own pain, her difficult childhood, her deep longing for respect, to enrich the character. A true method approach, really.
And it was produced by her own company.
One of the very first produced by Marilyn Monroe Productions, yeah. Symbolizing her newfound artistic control. Monroe herself called Cherie the first time I was really able to act a character who was real. So, Bus Stop was pivotal. Monroe shedding her old skin, demanding to be seen as a capable, even formidable actress.
So encouraged by this critical acclaim, Monroe dove into an even more ambitious project, The Prince and the Showgirl in 1957.
Opposite Sir Laurence Olivier, no less.
And she produced it too, despite, well, stories of intense behind-the-scenes clashes with Olivier.
Oh, legendary clashes.
Right. She still delivered a charming, nuanced performance that earned her significant awards overseas. A BAFTA nomination, the Italian David Di Donatello Award, and the French Crystal Star.
And stepping back, considering the impact, many in Britain were genuinely surprised she could hold her own in sophisticated comedy alongside someone of Olivier's stature.
I bet they were.
Some critics even felt she actually outshone Olivier with her natural warmth and impeccable comic timing. Tim Roby observed that Monroe showed far more innate understanding about her own talent than she has usually been ascribed. She knew exactly what she could do on screen, and she absolutely delivered.
So by the late 1950s, Monroe had definitively proven her range. But her journey, it seems, remained far from smooth.
Definitely not smooth.
Some of her most significant roles were wrapped in controversy censorship battles. That on-set turmoil we mentioned, mixed critical reception initially. Yet today, these very films are often regarded as her finest work.
It's fascinating, isn't it? We touched on Some Like It Hot earlier for its comedic brilliance, but it's important to place it within this context of controversial triumphs in her career back in 1959.
Yeah.
While it was a huge critical and commercial smash and her portrayal of Sugar was beloved, conservative voices strongly decried it.
Banned in Kansas.
Exactly. Banned in Kansas, condemned by moral watchdogs for offensive sexuality and cross-dressing, and that iconic crystal-encrusted nude dress caused an enormous stir across the country.
Yeah, you can see why. What's truly remarkable, though, is that despite significant off-screen struggles during filming, Monroe was pregnant and ill, often late to set, causing, immense frustration.
Famously difficult on that set.
Right. But director Billy Wilder conceded that however difficult her process was, the result was pure magic. And Some Like It Hot has since been voted the funniest film of all time by the AFI. That lasting legacy is such a powerful testament to her timeless performance, even amidst all that controversy back then.
And this pattern, this mix of personal struggle and extraordinary performance, it continued right into her final completed work.
The Misfits.
The Misfits in 1961. Written by her then-husband, Arthur Miller, intended as her big dramatic showcase, she plays Rosalind, a sensitive divorcee whose gentle idealism clashes with these harsh realities, and she imbued Rosalind with her own palpable melancholy and comparison, making it an achingly personal role.
You can feel it when you watch it.
Absolutely. One critic noted Monroe explores and brings to life the cloying weight of loneliness the way few actors can. In this film, she was no longer playing young and naive starlets, but complex women, delivering what many now consider her most vulnerable, powerful acting.
But the production, wow, infamously troubled.
Oh, legendarily so. Grueling desert filming, her marriage to Miller falling apart on set, Monroe's substance abuse and exhaustion leading to constant lateness and absences.
And then Clark Gable dying just days after wrapping.
A tragic end to a difficult shoot. Gossip columns had a field day, obviously, and the Misfits' initial reception was mixed, often viewed, through the lens of all that off-screen drama.
Yeah, hard to separate sometimes.
Yet, despite the utter chaos surrounding it, Monroe delivers something truly extraordinary on screen. A modern reappraisal in the Stanford Daily praised her intentional, actor-driven melancholy and remarkable skill at rendering the lonely divorcee, noting these subtle gestures and moments that feel painfully real.
With that vulnerability.
The article highlighted Monroe's bravery in showing such raw vulnerability. The Marilyn performance is so brave precisely because, despite the odds, she survives. She moved me so that tears came into my eyes. In Rosalind, audiences saw reflections of Marilyn herself, the saddest girl someone ever met, as someone close to her described her.
Wow.
Though it was emotionally taxing for her and not a financial success at the time, The Misfits really stands as this poignant swan song, a glimpse of the profound dramatic path her career might have taken. She absolutely holds her own alongside veteran heavyweights like Gable and Montgomery Clift. Her final lines about feeling lost just resonate with this heart-rending honesty.
Such a powerful film. Her life ended so tragically in 1962, cutting short a career that was it felt like beginning to blossom in these new, serious directions.
Exactly.
For decades, her legend grew, but often, it seems, at the direct expense of recognizing her true artistry. She got stuck in that pigeonhole. The quintessential blonde bombshell, all looks, little talent.
Which we've clearly seen is just wrong.
This narrative, as we've unpacked today, is not only deeply unfair, it's patently false.
And one striking thing from our sources is Monroe's own wry remark. It takes a smart brunette to play a dumb blonde.
Huh? Love that.
Her story proves she was right all along. She diligently developed her skills. She relentlessly fought for challenging roles. A biographer described her as one of the hardest working of actors.
Hardest working?
Yeah. Colleagues like Billy Wilder, despite acknowledging her difficult working style, always said the on-screen results were worth it. She delivered performances that truly surprised critics back then and continue to captivate audiences today.
And thankfully, it feels like recent scholarship and, numerous new books are actively correcting the record.
About time.
Film historians now rightly emphasize that Monroe had this keen understanding of the camera, of her own star image, which she expertly leveraged to create memorable, complex characters. She possessed this rare combination of technical skill, comedic instinct, and emotional openness.
That's a great summary.
As the Telegraph noted, discussing her acting ability now feels almost revolutionary and so urgently needed, because for so long she was simply dismissed as more of a phenomenon than an actor.
And putting that in context, film historian Richard Burrios points out that Monroe seldom got her due as the inventive and accomplished performer she was, and that prevailing biases just led people to consistently underrate her. In truth, Monroe's best work, whether it's making us laugh out loud or bringing us to tears, it just holds up beautifully. Her unique sparkle on screen, that magical mingling of sadness and joy, was something truly special and, frankly, inimitable.
And maybe the highest praise really comes from those who knew acting best. Like Anne Bancroft being moved to tears acting opposite her, saying, "Monroe responded. So real."
Incredible.
Or Eli Wallach, her co-star in The Misfits, who said Monroe could reach in and hold your heart in a scene, making you forget everything but the pure truth of the moment. That ultimately is the magic of great acting, isn't it? And Marilyn Monroe absolutely had it.
She really did. In retrospect, we can now appreciate how Marilyn Monroe courageously defied the limitations others placed on her. Yes, she was an iconic blonde bombshell, an image she deliberately helped craft. Let's not forget that.
True.
But beyond that, she possessed genuine acting chops that earned the deep respect of discerning critics, demanding directors, and her esteemed co-stars. She had that rare gift of making audiences feel, whether through laughter, desire, or profound empathy, all while navigating immense public pressure, often inadequate material, and, let's be honest, profound personal demons.
So what's a core takeaway here for you listening? Marilyn Monroe will forever be remembered for her beauty, the tragic glamour of her life story. That's undeniable. But after this deep dive, it's abundantly clear she also contributed profoundly to Hollywood history with her truly wonderful, varied, and often groundbreaking performances. From the hilarious Lorelei Lee to the heartbreaking Rosalind Tabor, she left behind this rich body of work that continues to entertain, challenge, and move us to this day.
It's really high time we give her credit, not just as a cultural icon, but as a talented actress who truly possessed surprising range and unexpected depth all along. She earned it.
Absolutely. And that raises, I think, an important question for you to consider. How many other historical figures or cultural icons might we be misjudging or underappreciating by focusing solely on their fame or their public image rather than their true craft and their lasting contributions?
Good question.
Maybe after this, it's time for you to take your own deep dive into someone you thought you already knew.